Hey guys, this is Cam with another King Tut production video. So today I want to talk about something a little bit different. I'm going to give you ninja travel tips. Now, so these are not just tips that you hear in every other blog. So for example, I'm not going to talk about make sure you research the exchange rates. I'm not going to say make sure that you pack light or pack heavy. And frankly, because packing depends on how you want to travel. If you're just kind of backpacking, circling the globe, and you're going to go back home to the US and live your life, then obviously you're going to want to pack light. But if you're planning on going somewhere to live, then you're going to need to pack a little heavier than that. So in this video, I want to give you some ninja tips that you may not hear on some of the other blogs on YouTube. And just to give you an idea, I've been traveling since I graduated from college, which was in 2007. So suffice it to say that I have almost 15 years of traveling experience under my belt. So I know what I'm talking about when it comes to traveling, and I just don't want you to make the same mistakes I did when I first started traveling. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get started. The first tip I want to give you is to make sure that you have an income before you come, or that you have enough money saved up. This is really important, especially notice this for people that are coming to like the Philippines, because in other countries, in Vietnam, possibly Thailand, some of these other countries, you can start teaching English and make some money from that. But if you're planning on just coming to the Philippines, that's not an option unless you're gonna be teaching English online. So it's really important that you have an income before you come here, or you have enough saved up. Now, when I talk about having enough saved up, I'm not talking about that $10,000 lump sum that you got from a settlement or your golden handshake, because that's something I see a lot in the Philippines. Guys, they think it's so cheap to come here, and then they have their $10,000 lump sum, and they're living like a king for a couple months, and then they're running out of money. The Philippines is not as cheap as people think it is, and I have a video talking about that in my Why Expats Leave video, which I'll put a box up there for you to see. So the reason your $10,000 isn't gonna last very long is, let's say you come here, you meet a nice young lady, and it's maybe not even a scam, it's legitimate. You just see her family, the roof is crap, so you decide to put a roof on their house. You're helping them out a little bit, or you're helping her out or whatever, and you're out of money really quickly. Another thing is just the cost of living for yourself. Even if you're not giving the money to a girl, the cost of living, to live a Western lifestyle that you're probably used to living back home, I'm gonna say you need about $1,500 a month. So let's do some math to see how much you're gonna need if you just have a lump sum. Okay. So let's say that you have $100,000, okay? And you're drawing about $18,000 a year, that's $1,500 a month. And you have an average return of 6%, which is about what you're gonna get in a decent index fund. You're gonna run out of money in 6 years and 8 months, right? If you have $150,000, it's gonna last you 11 years and 4 months. And if you have $250,000, that's gonna last you 17 years and 9 months. And even if you have $250,000, that's gonna last you 28 years and 3 months. And this is just to give you an idea if you're just gonna have a lump sum, a lump savings of how much you're going to need if you want to come to the Philippines or anywhere and never have to work again. And that's again, assuming a $1,500 a month withdrawal rate. That being said, I wanna say, I know people that I lived on $700 a month. But I mean, I was cooking my own meals, I was not living in Manila, and I live just fine. But some people, they need about $2,000 a month to be comfortable. It just depends on what you're used to back home and how much you can tolerate of living a local lifestyle. The more you live like a local, the cheaper it'll be. Now, I want to say that some of these guys, that the more I see guys trying to live, or girls, guys and gals trying to live like a local, the less long they last in these countries. Like in Vietnam, people come here, they don't have that much money, and they think they're gonna live like a local. Well, if you grew up with things like AC and Western food, it's gonna be hard for you to go back to living like a local where you're just eating rice and some piece of pig fat for dinner. So it's not as easy to live like a local if you didn't grow up in it as you may think. And now it's becoming really important that you have an income, because more and more countries are starting to require it. Back in my day, oh my gosh, I can't believe I sound old. But back in my day, like when I went to Mexico, you didn't need anything. You just, as long as you had an American passport, they let you in and you could get a tourist visa, which you can go for temporal and then extend into a permanente after 4 years. That's not the case anymore. Now they have an income requirement. So for example, now if you want to be an expat in Mexico, you need to prove that you have an income of at least $1,620 a month, or that you have $27,000 in savings. And the Philippines is talking about doing the same thing. And the reason that's happening is because just too many people would come, and like the example I said before, and then just come and run out of money, and then they become homeless or bums in these countries. And it just didn't look good to have people from a rich country like America coming to poor countries and becoming beggars. So you're gonna see more and more countries implementing income requirements for long-term tourists or expats. Costa Rica has done the same thing. And Thailand, they've increased their income requirement in order to get a long-term visa. So having an income is extremely important. Okay, number 2, this is something I really wish I had done, and that is to make sure you have a good working laptop before you go. Now, the reason that is because most of these countries, they have import taxes on some of these laptops. So believe it or not, electronics are actually, name brand electronics are actually cheaper in the US than they are in Latin America or Asia. And so I had an issue when my laptop went out on me, and I went to the store to get it, and in the Philippines has like 100% import tax. So what was a $380 laptop in the US ended up being a $700 laptop in the Philippines. So you really, if you feel like your laptop is going on the fritz, just buy another one. Even if you have 2 laptops for a while, it's not a bad thing. It's better to have 2 laptops than have your laptop go out on you and then you're having to shell out a lot more money than you thought you would to replace it. Number 3, make sure you sign up with a bank that does not charge you international transaction fees. Before, I was with a credit union because everyone was saying, oh, credit unions are better, but they're not better for international travel. I was ending up paying $3, $5, $8 every time I would draw my money from an ATM. And it's getting harder and harder to open a bank account in a lot of these countries. Like in the Philippines, it's become basically impossible to open up a bank account unless you have a permanent visa. There's just a lot of regulations to stop basically rich people from getting their money out of the country. And so you need to make sure you have a bank account that won't hit you with those fees, because those fees can add up. I personally use Charles Schwab, and they're great. They have 24-hour customer service, so when I can call them at a reasonable time here, and it's 24 hours, so I can always get a hold of somebody. And they don't charge international fees. And though that's a big deal, because you may think, just $3, but it can add up. I did the math. I ended up spending about $200 a year in those transaction fees just to withdraw my own money from an ATM. So Charles Schwab has been a lifesaver. Also, if you want to transfer money, TransferWise is probably your best bet. They're the cheapest because it's bank account to bank account. Otherwise, you can just use any of them, Remitly, RIA, Western Union. They're all about the same. But that it's really important that you make sure that you have like a big bank. I'll put a link to Charles Schwab. You get $100 if you open an account with them. And no, it's not an affiliate link because I don't get anything for it, but you get $100 if you choose to open up an account with them. Number 4, this is actually a big one that you would think that people would know, but often people are surprised at the airport. And that is to research your visa requirements and reciprocity fees. Sometimes, especially as Americans and probably British people too, we just figure, oh, we're Americans, we can go anywhere we want. And it's true, the US passport is one of the most powerful passports in the world, but that doesn't mean that you can just go anywhere you want. For example, Vietnam, you need to get a visa before you come. Now, it's not that hard, but it is something you need to do. Brazil, I think, recently dropped their visa requirement, which is a good thing, but most of Latin America charges reciprocity fees. And that's just because we charge them to come to the US, so then the countries retaliated and they charge us to go to their countries. It's reciprocity. So you can end up getting a $140 surprise at the airport if you don't know about these fees. So it's really important that you research the current visa and travel requirements. And the reason I emphasize current is because some of these countries, their information changes almost daily, especially now with COVID. Thailand, they're even before COVID, their regulations and who can come was always changing. Sometimes, I mean, just that some of these developing countries, they just they don't plan things out maybe as well as we think they should. And so it's just really important. You go to an expat group or wherever on Facebook and just ask them, hey, for those of you who recently came, what did you need to do? What were the requirements? So then you're not in an uncomfortable situation. I've even seen situations in Brazil, because Brazil, they used to actually require a visa beforehand. And people would end up going to the airport and then getting turned away because they didn't have a visa. Oh, that's embarrassing. My fifth and final ninja tip is something that most people don't do, but I have found to be so useful. And that is to get to know a local in the place that you're going. I always will go into an expat group or just a local Facebook group for the people, an English speaking group, and just put myself out there. Hi, my name is Cameron. I'm coming to this place. It'd be awesome to just chat with some new people, meet with some new people. And in Asia, they are really friendly and they really like to meet foreigners. Tourism is a big deal. In Vietnam and Thailand, people get degrees in tourism. And to get a license to be a tour guide, it's a big deal. Even just as a friend, they are really excited to meet new people and make new friends. And so as a result of me going and meeting a local beforehand, I knew where to go, how not to get cheated, the best places to eat that are not in the guidebooks, just special hacks for each country that you get just from knowing a local. It's a big deal. Now in the Philippines, you're probably gonna be with a girl, but it could be with a guy or a girl. It just doesn't matter. But if you are traveling and you want to make sure you have the best experience in the country, get to know a local first. You can talk to him or her for a couple months or before you go. See it, make sure that they're a decent person. And so far as getting scammed, I gotta tell you, I've never been scammed by someone I met just on a travel group and I was just traveling with them. It just doesn't happen. You just gotta know people, talk to people, and just kind of have your guard up a little bit. Be cautious, but not paranoid. And in fact, by me talking to locals, I have prevented myself from being scammed quite a bit. And so that's my number one tip for those of you who are thinking about long-term traveling or becoming an expat, is to know a local first or another expat. When I was in Argentina, I met this really nice girl. She was an American and she took me around and she kind of told me how things were, the English teaching market, how life was. And it actually helped me to make a decision as to whether or not I wanted to stay there or not. And by doing that, it saved me a lot of money from moving there and just having to find all these things out myself. Now, of course, you got to take anything an expat says with a grain of salt, or anybody says with a grain of salt, because they're going to have their own biases. But if you're hearing basically multiple people saying similar things, then I tend to believe them. So I hope I hope you found it helpful. If you have any questions, let me know. And if you are traveling, when are you planning on traveling and where are you going? Let me know. And tell me what other videos you would like to see on this channel. I want to expand this channel. I want to talk about traveling and places to go and do more travel oriented videos. So I'll talk to you later. Bye.